Welcome to my presentation. This is Psychology in the News. My name is Gabriela Cedillo. We're going to talk about an article from Slate, a daily online magazine and podcast network. The name of the article is Unfortunately, I Have to Recommend You See Melania by Heather Schradell, published on January 30, 2026. Article summary. Melania Trump's relative absence during her husband's second term hasn't gone unnoticed. She's been busy working on other projects, such as the documentary she was making, for which Amazon reportedly paid her the sum of $40 million. The article's author noticed that the people who had bought movie tickets before him were also alone, and almost everyone else in the theater was a fellow journalist. Despite the film's predicted failure, the writer believes Melania is worth watching despite how bad it is, or perhaps precisely because of it. But the writer's only real hesitation in calling it a propaganda film is that it might be something worse. A proper propaganda film will be selling something, even if that something is primarily a personality cult. According to the writer, Melania is so fundamentally empty. It contains nothing, no ideas, no point of view, and no tension beyond whether the tailors will be able to properly alter her total neck for the inauguration. Not even any other characters besides the glimpses we see of Donald Trump, the actual president of the United States. Melania often seems resentful of being misunderstood by the public, and yet she's encountered her big opportunity to set the record straight and communicate the all important message that she's hardworking, she loves her family, she cares about clothes, she loves America, she talks to her husband occasionally. Most of these she says in a straightforward, bland voice over that occasionally veers into purple prose. Her fashion loving mother, for example, was the richest thread in my life, Melania says at one point. Melania's story as a Slovenian immigrant turned international model is barely mentioned. The writer says Melania is so rigid and lacking in personality, or unwilling to show it, that Ratner forces her to sing Michael Jackson's Billie Jean midway through the film. Do we at least get any insight into Melania's marriage? That's actually a positive point. In a call about certifying the presidential election results, we learn that Trump talks to Melania the same way he talks to the rest of the world, with boats, and even she finds it exhausting. Melania's son, Baron, who has long been considered her greatest pride and joy, appears several times in the film, although he doesn't speak at all. Trump and Melania briefly discuss him while riding in a car, and strangely, they both sound like they perhaps never met him. He's cute, we have cute conversations, Trump says. Yeah, I love him. Melania responds placidly. Yeah, I love him. Is what you say about that coworker you really like, not your child. Melania has told us so many times that she doesn't care about anything. She's fine with putting in the kind of half-hearted effort that results in slogans like "Be Best." and she's willing to put up with a husband like Donald Trump. I don't know how it still manages to be shocking, but it is. The writer will give her this. I am not sure anyone else could have made a movie that taught me so remarkably little about its main subject, Melania. The author of the article believes that the film is selling something, and that is a personality cult. Personality, from a psychological perspective, refers to the long standing traits and patterns that propel individuals to consistently think, feel, and behave in specific ways. The article refers to certain personality characteristics of the main actor in the film, which is Melania. For example, empty, no ideas, no point of view, and no tension beyond, resentful, straightforward, bland voiceover, rigid, among others. Our personality is what makes us unique individuals. So Melania is a unique individual, and this film is a documentary about her. The word personality comes from the Latin word persona, a mask worn by an actor. Melania plays different roles, such as First Lady, wife, mother, actress, international model, and daughter. From a historical perspective, Hippocrates theorized that personality traits and human behaviors are based on four separate temperaments associated with four fluids of the body. The first one is choleric temperament, the second melancholic temperament, the third sanguine temperament, and the fourth phlegmatic temperament. Developed from Galilean's theory of the four temperaments, Kant proposed three words to describe each temperament. Wundt later suggested the arrangement of the treats on two major axes, so we can see it on the picture. Melania appears to have a melancholic temperament according to the characteristics described earlier. Freud and the psychodynamic perspective. Freud, while treating hysteria, discovered the talking cure that allows the client to talk about her experiences seemed to bring some relief of her symptoms. The article writer says that Melania couldn't possibly be expected to serve as First Lady in the traditional sense because she was dedicating all her time to playing the First Lady in a movie that tells the story of a First Lady who's bravely making a movie about herself. And he also mentions that Melania often reads as aggrieved at being misunderstood by the public, and yet she has used her big opportunity to correct the record to communicate the very important message that she is hardworking, loves her family, cares about clothes, loves America, speaks to her husband sometimes. Erik Erikson proposed a psychosocial theory of development, suggesting that an individual's personality develops throughout the lifespan. He emphasized the social relationships that are important at each stage of personality development. So Melania is going through stage 7, generativity versus stagnation. Carl Jung was interested in exploring the collective unconscious. He proposed two attitudes or approaches toward life: extroversion and introversion. It seems that Melania falls into the category of introversion. Karen Horney believed that each individual has the potential for self realization and that the goal of psychoanalysis should be moving toward a healthy self rather than exploring early childhood patterns of dysfunction. Horney believed these three styles are ways in which people typically cope with day to day problems. So Melania fits into the moving away from people coping style. After reading this article, I wonder what else is behind all of these, behind the protagonist of the film. I would like a professional psychologist to analyze her personality, since the role this character plays is based on real life and impacts at least an entire nation as the First Lady. The advice I will give people regarding to the topic of the article is that I don't think you need to see the movie to get to know the current First Lady of the United States of America, Melania Trump. This is her second administration, and it is already well known that her personality is as described in the article: empty, rigid, resentful, lonely, and lacking the personality traits expected of a first lady of a world superpower. Even though they spent millions of dollars on the film, I consider it cheap propaganda.